that, Jay. Oh, man. When the rain pours, it pours. So,
What?
Exactly. I got that from Cam Newton, by the way.
Okay.
I'm just going to blame him.
I love Cam-isms.
Yeah, I do too. All right, so Sunday Night Football. It just keeps getting worse and worse for everyone's sexy NFL Super Bowl pick, the Baltimore Ravens, losing on Sunday Night Football in a rainstorm, albeit, to the New England Patriots, 23-17. Had Lamar Jackson, 23 of 34, had 249 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Yeah, Cam, subpar by Cam standards, 13 of 17, 118 yards, 2 touchdowns though, 1 in the air, 1 on the ground, but nonetheless, they find a way to pull out the victory. So, Jay, adding this loss to how the season has gone so far with the Baltimore Ravens, tell me right here, right now, today, can we go ahead and say that the Baltimore Ravens are finished for this season?
Nope. We cannot say that. This is why. This is exactly what I expected to happen to them this season. Now, I didn't expect that their offense to have this many woes, but I did expect them to be around this point. Remember when we made our selections for our division winners for our NFL preview show at the beginning of the month? Who did I pick to win their division?
Pittsburgh Steelers.
I sure did. And right now the Steelers are where? At the top. But I still have the Ravens making it to the playoffs. And right now they're on pace. 6-3, still tops basically in the AFC. They're in playoff contention. And so I'm not concerned fully about them making the playoffs, but I do have concerns as far as the Super Bowl run, because I didn't even see them making a Super Bowl run anyway. The biggest issue with their circumstance is that everybody's got a year and a half of film on Lamar, and it's gotten to the point where the offense hasn't got creative enough for the caliber of receivers that they have. And to be absolutely honest, if you look at that roster, their wide receivers really ain't that good.
No.
And it's obvious that the issues that they have really isn't only on Lamar, that it's personnel problems too. Did you notice what the Patriots did at the end of that game to help prevent Lamar and them from making a final run?
What was that?
So the most interesting thing about what they did is they did basically a 2 to 3 man rush. That's it. They had linebackers and an additional corner drop back into basically spy mode. So they forced Lamar to have to throw it either really, really deep, or they wanted him to scramble for short yardage because there was nowhere to go with the ball. The rush wasn't able to get to him, but his receivers couldn't figure out how to get the freak open. Like if you look at the angles when they replayed some of the plays and you see Lamar's vision, you saw the receivers go out and they kind of turned and they just kind of stopped. It was like, why are you not moving? Like, I understand that there's not that many pockets, but you got to find one in that defense. You got to find a hole. They basically played a defense and was prepared to shut down the receivers that he had. And then I don't know what's up with Hollywood Brown. Did he lose a step?
No,
is his ankle hurt? Is his hamstring hurt? Because I did not expect McCurdy to be able to run lockstep, step to step with him down the sidelines every damn play. There's got to be something else going on within that team.
Well, I mean, that's a lot to unpack there. With Hollywood Brown, I mean, I think he is a good receiver. Obviously, we love him around these parts, given that he played some very successful seasons at OU, but maybe he's just not a number one wide receiver. It's either that or he hasn't learned how to run routes. Because when Tyreek Hill, for instance, who is his closest comparison, whether fair or unfair, came into the league, he didn't know how to run routes. He had blazing speed, and Hollywood Brown has near the amount of speed that he has. But perhaps he hasn't learned how to run routes when there's nothing at the end of his route. Because what I think's happening, just from what you notice, in terms of the receivers not really knowing what to do if they get to a certain point of their route, the end of their route, they don't know what to do, is because usually at that point, Lamar's already taken off. But they don't know how to try to, I guess there's a way to sort of freelance how to get yourself open if your route's over but your quarterback still has the ball, because that's what the Chiefs receivers know how to do really well, because they know with Mahomes the play really isn't ever over even at the end of their route. They don't know how to do that in Baltimore because usually he's gone by then. So his running ability, in a sense, sort of worked against his receivers when they do have extra time to get open, but they don't know how to because they're not used to it.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's the lack of talent. Now, Snead did a good job in a lot of positions, but you have a problem if Willie Snead's your best wide receiver.
Yes, you do.
You know, and as much as I like Mark Andrews has a drop problem. He drops a lot of passes, and I think the Ravens lead the league in drop passes. And that's a testament of Lamar putting it in the right spot and the receivers just not coming up with it. Plus the elements, of course, you can throw that in there, but overall, the problem with the Ravens is their personnel is just Lamar covered for a lot last year.
You would say their offensive personnel?
Yes, because their defense is good. Their defense does their job to get them to the point. Like the Steelers game, we blame Lamar on that because the turnovers is the only reason why they lost that game because they had that game won. But outside of that, this last game, Lamar can only do so much, especially when his center is throwing the ball like 10 yards over his head.
Now, you seem really optimistic about the prospects of the Ravens still being able to finish this season as a playoff team. And I worry about them because, one, you lost your left tackle who you just paid, Ronnie Stanley.
That's what sucks the most.
For the season, it sucks really bad. And they didn't have Calais Campbell, who was one of maybe their best pass rusher. I know they got him from Jacksonville, and he's in his 30s, but he was still their best pass rusher, you could say. Yes, you get Yannick Ngakoue, but still, there's only one Calais Campbell. He's of the upper echelon of defensive ends, and they didn't have him this week, and I think it's a calf injury, so at that age, it could go on for another 2 to 3 to 4 weeks.
Right.
So they can't fill those positions with the talent that's no longer in that position. So I think their problems are just beginning. If I looked at it now, and I picked this team to go to the Super Bowl, I think I actually picked them to win the Super Bowl.
You did.
I'm starting to doubt whether or not they can actually get to the playoffs. And even if they get to the playoffs, how successful can you be when the three of the more successful teams in the AFC, or the three most successful teams in the AFC, regular season and postseason combined, are who you've lost to? You've lost to the Chiefs, who won a Super Bowl. You've lost to the Steelers, who win Super Bowls. And you lost to the Patriots, who also win Super Bowls. So if you can't beat those teams, and you're likely to see two of those three teams in the playoffs at some point, how can you go far?
So I'm looking at what's left in their schedule, and this is why my concern isn't there.
Okay.
They have maybe one game that I think they will lose.
All right, let's hear it.
They play the Titans next week at home.
That could be a loss.
That can be a loss. I don't think they lose that game. This is going to be a bounce back. National television. They lost. They didn't get embarrassed, but they did lose.
Okay.
I can see them winning this game.
All right.
Next, they travel to Pittsburgh.
Loss.
You
think they're going to win this game?
I think that's the game they win. If they lose any, they lose to the Titans. Then they got the Cowboys coming to visit them. They travel to Cleveland.
Win.
They have Jacksonville coming to the house.
Win.
They have the Giants coming to the house. And the Giants' defense is a little different.
That might not be an easy game.
Exactly. Yeah. And then the last game is they travel to Cincinnati on January 3rd.
So if I give them three more losses, they're 10-6. So it's a matter of, is 10-6, 11-5 definitely is probably good enough to get into the AFC playoffs. But 10-6, possibly, isn't there an extra playoff spot this year? That they may activate if teams actually have to cancel games because of COVID.
Yeah, I think that next year it's a guarantee that it will show up, and that's where the top seed is the only TCs that gets the bye week, which forces us to have more urgency throughout the season, which I can appreciate.
See,
that,
10-6, I'm still not sold that gets them into the playoffs.
Well, yeah, because the problem you run into that is the Dolphins is 6-3, the Raiders are 6-3, the Ravens, Browns, Colts, and Titans are all 6-3. So they have to win out.
I don't know if they can win that Titans game. They go to Tennessee.
No, Tennessee comes to them.
Tennessee comes to them. Well, I mean, with very limited to no fans, that still sort of cancels out 2 to 3 points of that home field advantage.
You know what the spread is for that game? Have you looked yet?
I have not looked. All right,
give me your best guess.
Ravens are probably still going to be the favorite.
There's a look ahead, so they have to look at numbers.
Your thinking prevails about the Ravens. I'm going to say the Ravens are probably a -4 point favorite.
Dang.
What? Am I wrong? Am I right? What am I?
You're wrong.
How wrong?
They opened at 7.
Opened at
7?
7?
6 right now. Because all the traffic mixed traffic. No, all the traffic's on the Titans, so the line went down.
No, I see. John Q. Public is all over the Titans.
All over the Titans. I mean, that's a big point spread for a team that's struggling offensively. Now, the question is when they get to Baltimore, what will the offense look like? Will Greg Roman and them have a better game plan? Will they be more prepared?
And, and what really pissed me off about Greg Roman is he really tried to downplay what Lamar said on that radio show, that players are calling out their plays. And what Roman said was that's a common occurrence in the NFL. That teams but that's not what Lamar was saying. He's saying not only are they calling out our plays, but they're calling out the play we're about to run. They know what we're running.
Yes.
Okay?
They
So
have
that's a
enough
problem.
film. Yes.
That is a problem.
Yes. That's a problem if they can look at the formation and say, oh, this is what they're about to do.
Yep.
So we need to get a little bit more. And, of course, everyone's blaming Lamar, saying, well, why don't you audible? That's not Lamar's game. He's not at that point yet. He's not. I mean, he's not Peyton Manning. I wish every player was Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, where they walk up there, they look at the defense, and they completely change the offense right there on the spot. But that ain't his game. I don't think Patrick Mahomes can do that yet. It's just not their game yet. It'll get there because the defenses do change constantly, but I have to give him another, and I mean, this is what, his third year? I have to give him about 2 more years before I feel confident that he'll be able to do that. That's just me when it comes to a quarterback.
That's true. I mean, audibling it's a very sensitive thing to do because not only do you have to diagnose what you're seeing, but a lot of these teams change their coverages post-snap. So you not only have to know what they're going to change their coverage to if that's what's happening, but your play has to work. So if you go back in the film room and you audible out of a play that was going to work for a play that didn't work, then that is going to sap the confidence that the coaching staff has in you to be able to audible. So you do make a good point there.
Right.
Plus, Lamar's audible is his feet.
Exactly, and we can't get out there calling Red 76 Foxstar, Red 76 Foxstar, and everybody looks at him like, "What the is that?" Right. We can't do that and be successful right now.
Audible,
right?
change the play. Audible, change the play. All right, Julian Washington.